on on Facebook. Give me just one moment as we take care of some technical details, and in another second I will be able to be fully with you. Just need to turn one thing on and one thing off and mute something else as we
fuck.
Details. And okay, in another second I will be able. And we are ready. So I am here with Joy Frankel, and it is really an honor and a privilege to be here with you, Joy. Thank you very much for joining me. This is the Shah Learning Center. I am speaking to you from Congregation Shah Hashemayim's Shah Learning Center, an adult educational platform. And so much of our programming has actually been pivoting as the war in Israel continues. And we wanted to bring people an update as to what is happening on the ground by looking at real Israelis' real lives. I don't think there's anybody that is called an ordinary Israeli. I think by definition, if you're an Israeli and living in Israel, you're living an extraordinary life. And not only is the member of the community, the citizens of Israel, carrying on and carrying through as best as they can, but there are particular people that happen to be doing exceptional responsibilities and duties at this particular time. Joy, could you share with us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from originally, how long you've lived in Israel, and then specifically what it is that is one of your responsibilities today?
Okay, so thank you very much for having me. I was born and bred and trained in Montreal as a social worker. I finished my bachelor's and master's degree in social work at McGill University. Worked very, very actively in the Jewish community in Montreal. And then in 1996, made Aliyah here to Israel. I've been here ever since, working as a social worker. I have two wonderful sons. And during the war, really been active, really been active as a social worker more than ever in all different kinds of capacities.
Okay, thank you. So we have a Montreal native with us, and it's been many years that you have been living in Israel.
That's right.
When we were discussing over email previously, you said that one of your responsibilities as a social worker is to work with the army and to work with the most tragic aspect of war, which is to inform a family that their loved one has been killed, has been murdered. Could you share with me, first of all, how you even got into such a line of responsibility? How did that happen?
Okay. As social workers in Israel, we're always trained for the day that something will happen, and every social worker has their own task in the field of this emergency area of social work. And mine was always to give the notification of the next of kin of the bad news. It's like the bearer of bad news. But during the war, it was the first time that I had to inform a family. And it wasn't only one family, it was family after family after family.
I can't imagine. And yet, I think it's really important for everybody watching this to have an understanding of what that looks like. Could you, in an appropriate fashion, obviously, could you take us through what you have to do to prepare yourself before pushing the doorbell? And then what happens as soon as, I don't know, is it at the door? Is it unannounced? Take us through the steps of what that actually looks like.
Okay, so thank you for your question. It's a very intelligent question, and it's something that people really want to know. So I will walk you through it. We're trained professionally to do this. There's a specific protocol in the notification. So what happens is, especially in the war, there was a lot of unknown. You know, we knew that people were killed, but we didn't have the information to give to the
Right.
family because nobody knows anything. So what happens before an actual notice, we're given a phone call that there's a notice to be made, and we're given the address of the family. We go to the family. We never park near the family's residence. We always park somewhere farther where we will meet the team. In usual days, it's a police and social worker that make the announcement, and sometimes there's an ambulance waiting. Because the police are so busy and because so many police were killed, it's not possible to do it with the police. And what we've been doing is having 2 representatives of the army and 2 social workers going in to give the notification. So what happens is that we meet downstairs and we each share the details that we know, very little details. We know the name, and we know approximately where they were killed, and that's it. And because you're going to do such a sensitive notification, you automatically click with these people that are on your team. And we always start every notification with a hug before, because we know that what we are going to say to this family is going to change their lives forever.
You knock on the door, the family
Yes.
sees you, 2 army personnel,
Okay, so what happens in a
workers. What happens when they open that door?
Okay, so the first part of the protocol is that when you give the notification to the next of kin, you never ring the doorbell, you knock on the door. We even stand in a certain way that when they can look out of their peephole to see who's at the door, they'll see the army representatives first, and we stand behind them. Um, Sometimes the family will not let us in. They see the army representative and they already know, and they say, "We're not letting you in, go away." Like, there's already hysteria behind the door and they don't want to let us in. We still ask if we can come in any case, and usually they do let us in. At which point we ask who the parents are. If the parents are married, it's together. We ask who the parents are, whoever the next of kin is. And the notification has to be very, very clear and very concise, meaning that, are you the parents of X? We're here to inform you that X was killed in the army or killed wherever. And so that the family hears it and understands it. There's no mishmash with words. There's no softening the blow. We say exactly what we need to say because the family needs to know. And they need to know immediately, because nowadays with social media and everything, very often the parents or family members can find out from Facebook or WhatsApp before they get the actual notification. So it's very, very important that we do it immediately, and we do it in the most compassionate and sensitive way, and in the most professional way as well.
How many families have you been knocking on the door of since October 7th?
Okay, so I also told you that I worked at Shura, which was a military base where we were identifying the bodies of citizens that were killed. So I did a lot of work with the families at Shura. And then once we were in the community, in my municipality of Ramat Gan, we have a team of 20 workers. And the workers, we were working practically around the clock, giving notices.
Wow. So 20 staff are working around the clock non-stop to give notices that people
Giving the notices. And don't forget, these are people that know that their family members are missing. So they know that they're either kidnapped or they hope that they're alive. And we're the ones that give the notice. So we had, 20 people around the clock working. Right now, most of the families have been notified, and so the work is less intense. But that's what we've been doing.
I have many questions in my mind that I want to ask. I'm not sure all of them are appropriate. Some seem more voyeuristic. I feel almost unavoidably my mind is going to wanting to know what the reactions are of some of the families. But instead,
It's a legitimate question.
I want to ask you what are some of the responses that you face when you tell families this?
Okay, so like I already mentioned, some families, they just see the army representative and they start screaming behind the door and they tell us to go away. Other people, they let you in and they understand immediately and they just start sobbing and screaming and fall apart. Other people, we've seen people faint, people shaking. We've had to give a notice to a woman with a heart condition. So we had a mobile intensive care unit waiting downstairs. This is very, very sensitive and life-changing work. So the reactions from the family members really vary. It's human, and it's the worst notice they'll ever get in their life.
Do you ever see these people again? Do you have any contact with these people? Do they want to ask for your number? Do they feel an immediate sense of connection to you?
Okay, so when you're making the announcement, of course, there's immediate connection, and they'll never forget us. They'll never forget what we wore. They'll never forget what we looked like. They'll never forget the look in our eyes. This is something that they never, ever forget. The protocol is, however, that there's a team that goes in to give the notification. And once the notification is made, we go out and another team steps in to start to do the ongoing support work. Our team is specifically to give the notification.
How long will you be with the family until your responsibilities are completed?
Well, it depends. I did one notification 2 weeks ago that we went in and the family member said, okay, thank you very much. And like, they said, like, you can leave. And I said, I understand that that you'd like us to leave, but I'm going to stay for a bit longer just to be here. And they asked me if I wanted coffee, like they were ready for me to go. And I said, no, I'm not here to drink coffee, but I'll stay here a bit longer. And once I saw that the family started to get into action, understanding that they're going to have to inform other people that they have tasks to do, that's when I understood that my time there was finished. And so you walk out. It's something that you're able to sense and identify with each family. Each family is different and has a different reaction. Other family members, have totally broken down. There was one family that I had given the notice to, and the mother had said, we already got a false ID in the past. Until I see, the DNA, the forensic DNA certificate, I won't believe it. And because of the connections that I had in the military base, I was able in the middle of the night to get the forensic DNA certificate and to show it to the family member. And once that was done, they understood that this is final. It's an absolute identification. So every family reacts differently. There's a wide gamut of emotion, and we're there to hold that and to support them during this very, very difficult time.
I can't imagine a more difficult task, and I see what you do as a holy work to be able to be with a person in their moment of despair, crisis, to even inform them of it.
We're talking about chesed shel emet. This is really, really chesed
right.
shel emet.
It's an exceptional task. I imagine it takes a toll personally. It's not another day at the office. How do you how do you handle that separation of your work responsibilities with taking that home with you every night when your head's on the pillow?
Well, after we make the notification, there should always be a beginning and an ending of it. So when I end it after a notification, I don't go home right away. I usually sit outside in nature on a bench, and I just process everything that I've gone through. And you send a lot of healing prayers to the family. And I let enough time lapse before I come back home. And once I come back home, I shower, like to make an end of that event. There has to be a separation between the personal and the professional and the home. There has to be that in order to be successful at the work that we do.
Incredible. Incredible. Joy, I'm sure there are so many more things that we can speak about. I'm going to pause here. These are short 15-minute snippets, but I
understand.
am humbled to have had this conversation with you. I can't think of a more righteous act that is being performed, and my blessing is that you never have to do this again. I know
Bezrat Hashem.
I know that these are difficult days and difficult times, but the Jewish people are better off because of people like you and the team of people that we work with. And in a humble way that I cannot thank on behalf of the Jewish people, but to the degree that I can say thank you for what it is that you do and the tasks you perform, we appreciate on behalf of everybody, on behalf of the entire Jewish people, people like yourself, and what it is that you perform. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wish
Thank
you
you.
well. I wish you well.
Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you. Bye.